Imagine night falling on an ancient landscape with no campfire, no torch, no cooked meal, and no glowing circle of safety. The air gets colder. Predators begin moving. So how did humans survive before they controlled fire? The direct answer is, they survived the way other vulnerable primates survive, but with a growing human twist. They used bodies adapted to climate, flexible diets, stone tools, social cooperation, daytime movement, and whatever natural shelters the landscape offered. But first, we need to clarify the phrase, before controlled fire. Fire existed long before humans. Lightning strikes, volcanic activity, and dry season wildfires all happen naturally. The question is when humans could reliably make, maintain, and use fire on purpose. The timing is debated. Some sites suggest very early fire use, while stronger evidence for repeated controlled fire appears later. So before fire does not mean one exact year. It means long periods when hominins could not count on fire every night. Without controlled fire, survival was harder in three obvious ways. Cold nights were more dangerous, darkness limited activity, and many foods were tougher, riskier, or less nutritious when eaten raw. Fire did not create survival, but it widened the margin for error. One important advantage was mobility. Early humans and their relatives were not helpless in one place. They could track seasonal resources, move away from flooded or depleted areas, and favor landscapes where shade, water, edible plants, and escape routes clustered together. Bodies mattered too. In warmer African environments, losing heavy body hair and sweating efficiently probably helped active hominins travel and forage during the day. That did not solve cold nights, but it made daytime survival and long-distance searching more practical. Stone tools were another breakthrough before dependable fire. Sharp flakes could cut hide, slice meat, open carcasses, shape wood, and process plants. Archaeology gives us direct evidence here. Stones with human-made fractures, cut-marked bones, and patterned debris from tool-making. A raw diet was possible, but it imposed limits. Fruits, leaves, nuts, insects, eggs, marrow, shellfish, and some raw meat can all be eaten without cooking. The challenge was chewing time, digestion, parasites, toxins, and getting enough calories consistently. Processing helped. Pounding, scraping, drying in the sun, soaking, cracking bones, and cutting food into smaller pieces can make raw foods easier to eat. We cannot always see these behaviors archaeologically, but they are reasonable inferences from tools and primate behavior. Scavenging may also have mattered. Before advanced hunting weapons, hominins could have taken marrow, meat scraps, or abandoned carcasses, especially with stone flakes. This was risky because the same carcasses attracted big cats, hyenas, and other competitors. That brings us to cooperation. A lone hominin without fire was exposed. A group could watch in multiple directions, warn each other, defend infants, share information about food, and reduce the chance that any one individual was surprised at night. We have to be careful. We cannot film ancient behavior, but group living is deeply rooted in primates, and fossil sites often show repeated use of particular landscapes. It is reasonable to infer that social knowledge was a survival technology of its own. Shelter did not have to mean built houses. Before reliable fire, a good sleeping place could be a cliff ledge, cave entrance, dense tree, island-like patch, or rocky slope where predators were easier to see or harder to approach. Caves are tempting to imagine, but they were not automatically safe. Predators used caves too. The safest option may often have been the edge of shelter, enough cover from wind and rain, with visibility and escape routes still available. Sleeping was probably strategic. Modern humans can sleep deeply because culture protects us. Earlier hominins may have relied on group spacing, lighter sleep, elevated spots, and predictable routines. These are plausible adaptations, though direct evidence is extremely hard to preserve. Cold environments were the real bottleneck. Without fire, expansion into chilly regions was much more difficult. Early hominins could survive cool conditions through shelter, body heat, hides, and timing their movement, but deep winter would have been a serious barrier. Animal hides may have helped, but evidence for early clothing is indirect, and later becomes clearer with tools suited for hide working. Before tailored clothing, draped skins or sleeping on hides are reasonable possibilities, not guaranteed facts. Another constraint was the brain. Large brains are expensive organs. As hominin brains grew, getting dense energy became more important. Raw foods can support life, but cooking later made starches and proteins easier to digest and reduced the cost of chewing. So what do we actually know? We have bones, stones, footprints, sediments, toothware, isotopes, and sometimes burned material. These clues can tell us about diet, movement, tools, and environments, but they rarely capture a full day in ancient life. This matters because absence of evidence is not always evidence of absence. A group might use a branch shelter, eat soft plants, or sleep in trees, and leave almost nothing behind. Archaeology is powerful, but it is filtered by preservation. When controlled fire became reliable, it changed the equation. Fire offered warmth, light, predator deterrence, and a social center after sunset. It also turned some marginal foods into dependable calories and made old sleeping places more useful. Cooking was especially important. It softens tough plants, improves access to calories, kills many pathogens, and reduces chewing effort. These benefits did not appear magically overnight, but once fire was dependable, it opened a more stable way of living. Fire also extended time. Before it, darkness probably pushed activity toward daylight. After it, groups could work, communicate, repair tools, watch children, and strengthen social bonds after sunset. The night became less like a wall and more like a room. Still, fire did not make humans invincible. People still needed water, knowledge, cooperation, and luck. But controlled fire reduced several dangers at once, which is why many researchers see it as one of the major turning points in human evolution. So before controlled fire, ancient humans survived by staying mobile, choosing safer landscapes, using sharp tools, eating flexible raw diets, cooperating closely, and exploiting shelter wherever they found it. Their world was not impossible. It was narrower, colder, darker, and less forgiving. The best takeaway is simple. Fire was not the beginning of human survival. It was an amplifier. Long before humans mastered flames, they were already solving problems with bodies, tools, landscapes, and each other.